In October 1537, Hampton Court Palace echoed with the long-awaited birth of a son, Edward, heir to King Henry VIII. Bells rang, bonfires blazed, and London rejoiced. The Tudor dynasty seemed secure at last. But joy turned to sorrow. Queen Jane Seymour, Edward's mother, died just days after his birth. The infant prince became both a symbol of hope and a reminder of loss. Henry VIII, desperate for a male heir, now had one, but at a terrible cost. Edward's childhood was shaped by absence, a distant father, a mother lost to fever, and a court swirling with ambition. He was England's future, but also a pawn in a dangerous game. Nobles and courtiers saw opportunity in the young prince, a path to power and influence. Edward was raised in isolation, surrounded by tutors and guards, his every move watched. The weight of expectation pressed on him from the start. He was not just a child, but the living guarantee of the Tudor line. In the shadows of Hampton Court, the stakes were life and death. Edward's life began in mourning, his destiny shaped by the ambitions of others. The boy was England's prize, and its greatest vulnerability. In this world, innocence was a luxury no prince could afford. Edward's childhood was a relentless education, not a playground. From age 6, he was drilled in Latin, Greek, theology and history by Protestant reformers. His tutors saw him as a vessel for their faith, a future king to lead England's religious transformation. Every lesson was laced with Protestant doctrine. Catholicism was condemned as superstition. Edward excelled, filling notebooks with pious arguments and reformist zeal. He was groomed to be a godly king, a new Josiah to purge England's Catholic past. After Henry VIII's death, Edward Seymour, his uncle, seized power as Lord Protector. The boy king was shielded, manipulated and isolated, his world tightly controlled by ambitious men. Somerset and Cranmer shaped his beliefs, reinforcing his divine mission. Edward trusted his counsellors, seeing them as godly guides, not political schemers. He signed reforms and policies with a seriousness beyond his years. Was he a true believer or simply echoing the will of those around him? The line blurred. Edward became both puppet and prodigy, a boy king moulded for a radical cause. His reign would soon test whether faith alone could rule a kingdom. With Edward on the throne, the English Reformation exploded into revolution. The 1549 Act of Uniformity imposed a new English prayer book, sweeping away centuries of Catholic ritual. Royal commissioners stormed churches, smashing stained glass, burning statues, and erasing sacred art. For reformers, it was progress. For ordinary people, it was cultural devastation. The countryside mourned the loss of familiar rites and community traditions. The government pressed on, deaf to protest, convinced they were doing God's work. Edward, coldly detached, recorded these upheavals in his diary as necessary purges. He debated bishops, pushed reforms further, and showed no mercy for dissent. A second, even stricter prayer book followed, erasing all traces of Catholicism. Was this the will of a teenage king, or the ambition of men like Northumberland, who now controlled him? Edward's certainty left no room for compromise. He became the face of a revolution, unyielding, zealous and dangerously young. The boy king's faith was now England's law. The cost would soon become clear. The kingdom was on the brink. Edward's reforms collided with crisis. Rampant inflation, bad harvests and mass unemployment. The poor suffered as landlords enclosed common lands and the social safety net unraveled. In 1549, rebellion erupted. The prayer book rebellion in the west demanded the old Latin Mass. Kett's rebellion in the east protested economic injustice. For months, England teetered on collapse. The government's response was brutal. Foreign mercenaries crushed the uprisings, thousands were killed and priests hanged as warnings. Martial law ruled, mercy vanished. Edward, secluded in his palace, recorded the bloodshed with chilling detachment. To him, rebels were sinners defying God's will. His reign, meant to bring order, plunged England into famine, violence, and fear. The boy king's reforms had set the kingdom ablaze. England bled while its king watched from afar. The cost of faith was paid in blood. The land groaned under the weight of his rule. By 1553, Edward was dying, just 15, racked by disease and fear for his Protestant legacy. The succession loomed. His Catholic half-sister Mary was next in line. For Edward and Northumberland, this was unthinkable. In desperation, Edward drafted his own will, disinheriting Mary and Elizabeth. He named Lady Jane Grey, a devout Protestant and Northumberland's daughter-in-law, as his heir. It was a final, audacious gamble to save the Reformation. On July 6th, Edward died. His death was hidden while Jane was proclaimed queen. But the people rallied to Mary, valuing legitimacy over radical change. Mary's army swept aside Jane and Northumberland. Both were executed. Edward's last act failed. His Protestant dream collapsed and Catholicism returned. His reign ended in chaos, conspiracy and blood. Was he a zealot, a puppet, or the most dangerous Tudor of all? Edward's shadow lingers, a chilling question mark in England's story. The boy king's certainty nearly tore his kingdom apart, his legacy, hope, tragedy, and a warning from history.